Today, I share a powerful story that illustrates exactly how to handle price negotiations with grace while maintaining your professional standards. Welcome to Resourceful Designer, the podcast to help you build a thriving design business. I am your host, Mark Decote, and today we're diving into a topic that affects every designer's career: knowing and standing firm for your worth. I want to share a story that perfectly demonstrates the evolution that many designers go through. It's about a designer that I met years ago at a design conference in Montreal. We had lunch together, and although it was so long ago I can't remember the man's name, I do remember the story that he shared with me. It's the story of how he transformed from being the easy choice, the affordable option, to becoming the investment choice. And there's a beautiful irony in how this transformation actually led him to better client relationships. I want you to picture this scenario. A startup founder approaches you with an exciting branding project. The concept is brilliant. They're launching an innovative tech platform that could disrupt their industry. Now, as a designer, your mind starts racing with all the possibilities. You can visualize the brand identity already, the visual language you want to use, and how you can help position them in their market. You're genuinely interested because these are precisely the kind of transformative projects that really get your creative juices flowing. But then comes that moment, the budget discussion. You've done your professional assessment, you've calculated the scope of the work, the time involvement, the strategic thinking required, and you know that this is easily at least a $5,000 project. That's what it takes to deliver the quality and the value that this startup deserves. But then the founder drops the bomb. Their budget is only $500. Well, your heart sinks a little, not because you're angry, but because you were really excited to help. You wanted this project, yet you know that their budget won't allow for the level of work needed. Well, that's precisely the situation that the designer I met found himself in. Now, at this point, many designers find themselves at a crossroads, and there are typically two responses they take. First, there's the compromise route. You might be tempted to slash your prices, thinking, well, something's better than nothing, or maybe this will lead to more work, or it'll make a great portfolio piece. But here's the harsh truth with that scenario. When you compromise on your prices, you're not just affecting this one project. You're setting a precedent, not only with this client, but with your own mind about what you think you're worth. And that's a slippery slope. Then there's the walk-away approach. Some designers might reply with a curt, "Sorry, that's below my minimum rate," and end the conversation right there. While this does preserve your pricing integrity, it misses an opportunity to build a relationship that could be valuable in the future. But there is a third way, the way that the designer I met in Montreal used, and that's a bridge-building rejection. This is where you transform a no into a "not yet, but here's how I can help you." Now, this approach requires emotional intelligence, professionalism, and a desire to see your potential client succeed, even if that success is not with you. Think about it. Most clients who come with a low budget aren't trying to insult you. They're usually either unaware of the market rates, they're working under real budget constraints, or they haven't yet realized the true value of professional design. And by handling this situation with grace and helpfulness, you're not just protecting your worth, you're educating the client and potentially cultivating a future high-value relationship. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That designer that I met, instead of either accepting the lowball offer or rudely dismissing the client, he chose a perfect example of professional communication. Let me share the email template that he used. And in case you can't write this down right now, I'll include this template in the show notes for this episode at resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 356. The email starts with a warm acknowledgement of the client's interests. Then it directly states the minimum engagement fee. Let me break it down piece by piece because every word in this template matters. And I want you to pay attention not just to the words, but to the psychology behind each of these sections. It starts, "Hi," and then the client's name. "I appreciate that you're interested in working together." Notice how it begins with a genuine appreciation. This isn't just a formality. By saying "working together," it sets a tone of respect and professionalism right from the start. The next part, which is very crucial, reads, "My minimum engagement fee on projects like this is X amount. Right now, I feel like we're light years apart on price." Now, this line or this section is direct, but it's not harsh. You're not apologizing for your higher rates, but you're also not being confrontational. The phrase "light years apart" actually softens what could have been a harsh reality. Then comes the actual bridge building section, and it reads, "I would like to help you get past this challenge so that we can one day work on bigger challenges together." Now that part is brilliant because it does three things. It shows that you care about their success, it maintains your professional standards, and it keeps the door open for future collaboration. And the next part is where you provide the actual value. And it reads, "I made a short list of the best, whatever, graphic designer, web designer, whatever it is that they're looking for. So I made a short list of the best designer I personally know or have hired before who may be able to help you solve your problem within your budget." And then list 2 or 3 different freelancers that fit their budget. Now, this section transforms what could have been a dead end into a helpful resource for the client. You're not just saying no, you're actually helping them by providing a solution, which is what they came to you for in the first place. And finally, the closing of this email template. "Although we're not aligned on price at this moment, I wish you all the best and hope one of my recommendations can help you solve your problem. Take care," and then you sign it. Now let's analyze why this closing works so well. The phrase "at this moment" implies this isn't a permanent rejection. "I wish you all the best" maintains the warmth, and referencing the recommendations reinforces that you've provided actual value to them. Now, the beauty of this template is its versatility. You can adjust the tone and the specific wording to match your brand voice while keeping the core structure intact. It's professional without being cold. It's helpful without compromising your worth. And it's relationship building even in rejection. Now, of course, for this to work, I suggest you keep a spreadsheet of reliable professionals, other freelancers at different price points that you can recommend when this comes up. This not only helps your potential client, but it also builds goodwill within your professional network, the other designers. These relationships can actually lead to referrals amongst you when the other professionals either are overwhelmed with work or for whatever reason. Now, here's where this designer's story takes a fascinating turn. By handling the situation with professionalism and genuine helpfulness, something unexpected happened. This designer told me that weeks after sending that letter, the same startup founder that had the $500 budget called him back after securing additional funding. Not only did they match the designer's original $5,000 quote, but they also became a valuable long-term client. And I've never forgotten that story. Now, I know it may have been hard to understand the template since I commented on each part of the email, so in its uninterrupted entirety, the template goes like this. "Hi, client's name. I appreciate that you're interested in working together. My minimum engagement fee on projects like this is X amount. Right now, I feel like we're light years apart on price. I would like to help you get past this challenge so that we can one day work on bigger challenges together. I made you a short list of the best designers I personally know or have hired before who may be able to help you solve your problem within your budget. Here's designer number 1, designer number 2, designer number 3. Although we're not aligned on price at this moment, I wish you all the best and hope that one of my recommendations can help you solve your problem. Take care, sign your name." Once again, This approach works so well because 1, it maintains your professional standards. 2, it shows genuine care for the client's needs. 3, it provides actual value even while you're rejecting them. And 4, it keeps the doors open for future opportunities. Now let's talk numbers. When I spoke with that designer in Montreal, he told me he charged $300 per hour and had a minimum project engagement fee of $5,000. And that was almost 20 years ago. I would love to know what he charges now. And I know some designers might actually gasp at these numbers. But here's the critical insight. He wasn't trying to be everything to everyone. He knew his target market. He understood his value. And most importantly, he knew that his expertise is an investment that yields returns for his clients. Now, there's a profound observation here about marketing yourself as a designer, and it's one that completely changed my perspective on self-promotion. After talking to that designer, I stopped presenting myself as the affordable designer and started presenting myself as the investment designer. It was a shift in mental thinking. An article that I read not too long ago mentioned that the louder you shout, the cheaper you brand yourself. And I love that idea. And I believe it's absolutely crucial to your success as a design professional. Think about luxury brands for a moment. When was the last time you saw Rolex plastering billboards everywhere? Or Ferrari sending spam emails about their latest models? These premium brands understand something fundamental about perception and value. They know that they're not for everyone, and they embrace that. Let me share a personal observation. The first few months after I started my business in 2005, I was everywhere. I did cold calling, cold emailing. I attended every network opportunity I could. I was practically begging people for work. And you know what? It worked. I landed a bunch of clients. However, this be everywhere approach attracted clients who treated my services as a commodity and were always haggling over prices. Not all of them. I did find some really great clients that way. But more than not, I found clients who wanted something done fast and cheap. And I obliged because it's what I thought freelance designers did. It's what I knew from my days at the print shop, where the design department I worked in was more a design factory, getting projects in and out as fast as we could. So that's how I ran my business at first. But here's the shift that changed everything for me. That designer I told you about in the story, and all the most successful designers I know and I've known since then, the ones charging premium rates, they operate more like high-end consultants. They're selective about where they appear, thoughtful about what they share, and strategic about their visibility. They know their worth, and they know that not every client is for them. Let's break this down in practical terms. First, consider the psychology of exclusivity. When something is harder to access, such as a high-priced designer, people naturally attribute more value to it. It's not about being unapproachable. It's about being selectively available. For my podcast branding business, I've positioned myself at the higher end of the price scale for podcast artwork. And I understand that most people starting a podcast aren't willing to pay my rates. And I'm okay with that. But for those who understand the value I bring to them, my prices don't matter. Second, think about the quality of your presence versus the quantity when promoting yourself. One case study showing a well-executed design project can do more for your reputation than 100 social media posts. Here's what this looks like in practice. Instead of mass marketing, focus on building deep relationships within specific industries or niches if you can. Rather than posting daily about your services, create thoughtful, in-depth content that showcases your expertise. Instead of attending every network event, be strategic about where you appear and what you share. And focus on getting referrals from satisfied clients rather than cold outreach. This quote-unquote whisper effect creates intrigue. When you're not constantly selling yourself, but instead sharing valuable insights and letting your work speak for itself, something magical happens. People start seeking you out. They come pre-sold on your value. They understand what you're worth. Think about the last time you heard someone whispering in a crowded room. What did you do? You naturally leaned in to listen, right? Well, that's exactly what we want our potential clients to do. Lean in, pay attention, and value what we have to say. Now, this approach requires patience and confidence. It might feel a little counterintuitive, especially when you're starting out or during slow periods. But remember, the goal isn't to be the loudest voice in the room. It's to be the most valuable one. And the key? It's to position yourself as a trusted advisor rather than just another service provider. When you do this effectively, you'll find that clients start approaching you differently, with more respect, ready to invest in your expertise rather than just buying your time. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, let me give you some concrete, actionable steps to put in practice what we've just discussed. First, let's talk about creating your response template for the next time someone comes to you with a much too low budget. Once again, you can copy the email template from the show notes at resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 356 and start crafting your version of the template. But here's the key. It needs to sound like you. Use your personality, your brand voice. You should shine through while maintaining professionalism. Start by determining your absolute minimum project rate. Don't just start pulling numbers out of thin air. Calculate your desired hourly rate, your overhead costs, and the minimum time you need for even the smallest project. That'll be your baseline. Then, create a list of trusted colleagues or freelancers who work at different price points. These are people whose work you respect and who you'd feel confident recommending. Categorize them by their specialty and their price range. That's it. That's all you need to start using this template. But don't stop there. You actually need multiple versions of this template for different scenarios. You need one version for the just starting out client who doesn't understand market rates. You need a second version for the budget constraint client who knows the value but can't actually afford it. And a third version for the rush job client who needs it yesterday but won't pay rush fees. And here's another critical step. Create a follow-up system. Remember the story from earlier. That $500 budget client came back a few weeks later and paid the $5,000 that the designer had quoted. So set calendar reminders to check in with these prospects every few months. A simple "how did your project turn out" can keep the doors open for future opportunities. And keep these templates handy. Pin them to your desktop, save them in your email drafts, or add them to your Typinator or text expander for quick deployment. Put them wherever you'll have quick access to them. Because I promise you, these situations will come up, and having professional, ready-to-go responses will save you from making emotional decisions in the moment. Remember, every time you say no to a project that doesn't meet your minimum requirements, you're actually saying yes to your professional worth. You're saying yes to better opportunities. You're saying yes to being valued for your expertise and not just for your time. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you found this valuable, please share it with a fellow designer who might need to hear this message. It's very important. And remember, only you get to set your price, not your client, not the design industry, not anyone else, just you. So charge what you're worth. I'm Mark Decote. Until next time, stay creative. Now we're continuing with the Resourceful Designer intros that Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com recorded for me. I have a few more to get through before I'm out. So here we go. Take it away, Wayne.
And now, your host. He keeps registering domain names for ideas he'll hopefully get to, quote unquote, someday. Mark Decote.
Yep, it's an affliction that I call domain acquisition syndrome. Luckily, it's not contagious. Let me know if you suffer from it as well. Maybe we can start a support group.